Hello, 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 and welcome back to my perfect imperfections. I am Nene, and apologies for not posting in previous weeks. And yeah, life happens, guys. It is what it is. So, I just wanna touch on the whole anxiety that we have. Anxiety is actually being in a constant state of stress and stressing on one thing, constantly being in a constant fear and anxiousness and stress and obsessive thinking and frustration about a certain thing. And that's where we are as students because of the uncertainty of what will happen with our academics this academic year. And I understand it is very hard for the Department of Education and Higher Education to find a suitable and a very accommodative way to continue our academic year. And personally, I am still a student and I am also in frustrations. Actually, I'm very stressed because I have three submissions coming up right now. So I'm very stressed and I've been doing online assessment. I think I've already spent more than 500 on data, basically. So I've been following boycott online learning also. And firstly, I will start by education, Department of Education, meaning primary schools, secondary, and high school. So foundation learning, it is very important, and we need to remember that those are the times where we develop and understand the ways that we learn. And some students don't learn the same way, which is why e-learning can be a bit complicated for students, for learners. I mean, yes, and we need to also remember that homeschooling is not a choice that everybody has because of some of us have mothers who are illiterate, who didn't go to school. They cannot teach us how to solve for x. Some students, like my mother is a teacher in a public school in a village where there are certain students that she gives more attention to because they learn differently. The students who learn practically, the students who learn through practical examples instead of definitions. They don't understand when you give them a definition, but when you give them an example that they can relate to with something that they see every day, that's when they understand what you're talking about and what you're trying to say. I think also in terms of different ways of learning, it also applies to students in higher education, which is your colleges and your universities. And we need to remember that not all of us have DSTVs to get to those channels that have educational programs. And not all of our little sisters and brothers understand English to a point where they can consume all the knowledge that is coming about on TV. And to be taught in a way that you cannot ask questions, it's a bit frustrating also because you can get lost in a way and you can just give up. So easy to give up because you are stressed, and you sometimes when you stress you just get to a point where you don't see the point of why try. And while we at it, let's get to the point of higher education. Higher education is introducing e-learning, which, yes, it is an option for us to continue with our academic year, but it should be in a way that it is inclusive to everyone. It is inclusive to everyone with different backgrounds and people who don't have privileges. And we should also remember that we don't only use student portals to do our assessments. We need our textbooks because there are people who learn through personal studying, personal learning. We need our textbooks because they have more information than slides. And also, we need to understand the most biggest problem when it comes to e-learning. It's not devices. The most biggest problem is network coverage and data. So we need to figure out how we're gonna fix the problem and network coverage and data, and ensure that every assessment can be done through a cell phone, because we can have cell phones but not have laptops. Certain assignments require a laptop to be completed. Certain assignments can be done through cell phone, and certain assessments, they need to be not timed, because when you time an assessment and then I have an internet problem or a connection problem because of network coverage, I cannot do that certain assessment and I will not submit in time. So I think late submissions should also be considered with the assessment should not be timed. It should not be an automatic submission, because due to network issues, obviously you will continuously log in and log out because of the network. So imagine if you are in the middle of an assessment and then network gone. You cannot continue now because it's an automatic submission. It's submitted incomplete work. And another thing I think we are mostly anxious about is how are we going to perform, because some of us, we are not very familiar with e-learning. How are we going to perform? Are we going to be able to adjust to e-learning, and how will our performance change? And we are anxious about how we're going to be able to afford the amount of data needed, because we need to remember that for students who are doing research methodology, we not only we using Google, we're using Google Scholar, we're using different sites to find journals and search information in order to write research. It's not just only based on student portals. And so that's why data is such a big issue, because it's expensive. And I understand when I was following boycott online, there were good facts raised about students who use NSFAS money to buy alcohol. But we need to remember that, yes, students use NSFAS money to buy alcohol. Some students don't buy textbooks, but it's not all the students. Some students use bursaries. Some students use their parents pay for them. Some students have taken student loans. Some students who use NSFAS actually do buy books. So it is not all of them. You cannot blame every student for some students who tend to use what the government has given them so that they can use it wisely for their education, and they use it for their own personal gain in a wrong way, be blamed for other students. So we should consider that, and also consider that just because I'm home and I'm getting an allowance, it does not mean I can sit and watch my family not have something to eat while I have money saving for data. It's also something that is contributing to this factor. And we also need to understand distance learning that what this UNISA is doing. It's not the same as e-learning, because with UNISA you learn, it's like personal studying, and you do assignments, and you come on your right test, and there is online test, but it's not a full time. You have to watch a class online. So meaning we will have to spend about 45 minutes online watching the lecturer speak and communicating with her. Hopefully it'll be a two-way street. So basically it's like we will be attending classes online. It's not the same as UNISA. So we need to understand the difference between e-learning and distance learning, and we need to consider people from different backgrounds. Let's all be together in this and inclusive of everyone from different backgrounds, because we are all worried about our academics. And let's stay safe. Let's follow the government regulations during this COVID-19 pandemic and take care of yourself. And we hope that we will pass with bright colors. From me, Nene, and my perfect imperfections, thank you. Have a good day.